Hello everyone. We're talking about the genital system development, and in this section we'll talk about the development of the gonads. So this section has been divided into three subsections. In the subsections we'll first have the overview. In overview we'll talk about the development of these gonads, and we'll see how these gonads actually form. Then we'll move on to the differentiation of an undifferentiated fetus. We'll see how an undifferentiated fetus, in which as the sex has not been determined, undergoes sexual differentiation. And then finally we'll talk about the indifferent stage in the fetus, during which the developmental processes in a male and a female fetus are similar, because the differentiation between a male and female fetus has yet not been done. So let's get into the detail of this presentation. The first of all, the overview. So what are the various components of the male and the female reproductive system? So in the male reproductive system we have the testes, in which the adult male sexual cells are formed. Then we have various hormones. These are the androgen, the estradiol, and the inhibin that are responsible for the development of the secondary sexual characteristics. A hormone that is missing is testosterone. The testosterone also helps in the development of secondary sexual characters. In the female reproductive system, we have the ovaries, in which the primordial ovarian cells or the ovarian follicles are present. From ovaries, we have these finger-like projections, which are known as the fimbriae. The fimbriae then form the ampulla, and this is the uterine tube. This uterine tube opens into the uterus, and this uterus into the vagina. These are the various hormones which also play an interactive role in the development of a human. These are the progesterone, the androstenediones, the estrogens, and the inhibins. They help in the production of secondary sexual characters in the females. This uterus, when pregnant, produces prolactin and relaxin. The prolactin is responsible for production of milk. Now, placenta, when an individual is pregnant, it produces progesterone, the estrogens, the HCG or human chorionic gonadotrophin, then human placental lactogen and inhibin, all of which interact with each other, and also with the hormones already being produced within the body and help in carrying out a normal physiological pregnancy. So let's see how this the reproductive system in the humans is formed and what are the various sources of it. So first of all, we have the intermediate mesoderm, which is the first source of the formation of reproductive system in the human beings. Then we have part of the cloaca. We'll see why we are talking of only a part of the cloaca and what part exactly. And finally, we have the coelomic epithelium, which covers the intermediate mesoderm. So intermediate mesoderm actually lies between the paraxial and the lateral plate mesoderm, and the coelomic epithelium, which covers this intermediate mesoderm, is also a source of the development of the reproductive system in humans. And the third source is the part of cloaca. Now, moving on, we have the genetic basis of the phenotypical differentiation. So what is a genotypic differentiation? What is a phenotypic differentiation? So genotypic differentiation means what lies within the genes. So that the genotypic gender or the genotypic differentiation has already been determined at the time of zygote formation. So if a sperm carrying the X gene, or if the sperm carrying a Y gene, it fertilizes the egg, it would subsequently form either an XX offspring or an XY offspring. An XX offspring is a female offspring, and an XY offspring is a male offspring. This differentiation has already been determined this that what gender would the adult zygote have once it undergoes differentiation. However, phenotypic differentiation is the differentiation that can be seen, that is visual differentiation. This occurs after a period of indifferentiation, during which it is impossible to differentiate whether an embryo is a male embryo or a female embryo. So let's see how this genetic basis determines the phenotypic differentiation. So initially we have an undifferentiated gonad. This undifferentiated gonad can take one of the two pathways. It can be a male fetus, and a male fetus is determined by the SRY gene. The SRY gene is located on the short arm of the chromosome Y. So this SRY gene, it secretes testis determining factor, or TDF. The testis determining factor in turn is responsible for the production of testes. So these testes now secrete the Mullerian inhibiting hormone and the testosterone. So the testis determining factor, it is responsible for the formation of testes. And how does it do that? It does that by secreting the Mullerian inhibiting factor and increasing the production of testosterone. Decreased production of Mullerian inhibiting factor and increased production of testosterone causes masculinization of the fetus. That is, it gives a signal that the genotypic sex of the fetus is XY, that is male. So corresponding male counterparts have to be, the male sexual parts have to be formed in the developing fetus. Now, the second pathway is an undifferentiated gonad, which might undergo a female differentiation, that is XX. In this case, there is absence of SRY gene. Since SRY gene is absent, so there is absence of testis determining factor. Since testis determining factor is absent, so Mullerian inhibiting hormone and testosterone will not be formed. Since the influence of Mullerian inhibiting hormone and testosterone is not there, so testes will not form, and as a result ovaries will form. This is how the genetic sex of a zygote helps in determine the phenotypical sex of the adult fetus. So an ovary is formed. Now, moving on, we have the development of the gonads. In development of the gonads, again, we'll talk about the sources. We have the intermediate mesoderm. Then we have the coelomic epithelium, which actually covers this intermediate mesoderm. And finally, we have the primordial germ cells. So these sources, now they cause an undifferentiated gonad. Here you can see this is an undifferentiated gonad. These are the mesonephros and the Mullerian duct. These are the segments of the urogenital sinus. It is important to understand that the urinary system and the genital system, they originate from a common urogenital ridge. Hence, the development of the urinary and the genital system goes on side by side. So these are the undifferentiated gonads in the stage of indifference. That is, at this point in time, the sex of the embryo has not been determined. This is the definitive adult stage in which the testes and the ovaries have already been formed. So what is this indifferent stage? So the embryo is now at 4th week of development. There is elongated elevation called the genital ridge. Here you can see this is the genital ridge on the medial side of the mesonephric ridge. I have talked about this earlier. A urogenital ridge has been formed. This urogenital ridge then divides to form a laterally lying mesonephric ridge, which is responsible for the formation of the urinary system, and a medially lying gonadal ridge, which is responsible for the formation of the genital system. The genital ridge is formed by the condensation of intermediate mesoderm, so the first source from which the genital system develops, and proliferation of the overlying coelomic epithelium, so the second source. So how is the genital ridge formed? By the condensation of the intermediate mesoderm and the proliferation of the overlying coelomic epithelium. So in indifferent stage. So the primordial germ cells, these are the primordial germ cells in the wall of the yolk sac. They are lying close to the allantois. This is the allantois. They lie close to the allantois during the second week of development. So when the embryo is at the second week of development, these primordial germ cells, they lie in the wall of the yolk sac close to the allantois. Now the fourth week of development starts. Now these primordial germ cells, they migrate along the dorsal mesentery. These are the migrating primordial germ cells. These are migrating along the dorsal mesentery. This is the hindgut. So they migrate along the dorsal mesentery of the hindgut on both sides, and this is by the active amoeboid movement. So they reach the genital ridges at the beginning of the 5th week and invade the ridge at the 6th week. So initially, these primordial germ cells were lying in the wall of the yolk sac near the allantois. At 4th week of development, they start to migrate along the mesentery of the hindgut towards the developing genital ridge. Now they reach the genital ridge at about 5th week of development, and they penetrate the ridge at about 6th week of development. So the arrival of germ cells into the genital ridge causes the cells of the coelomic epithelium, the outer covering, these cells undergo proliferation and penetrate the underlying mesenchyme. So the genital ridge, which was actually formed by the condensation of the intermediate mesoderm and the proliferation of the overlying coelomic epithelium, when these genital cells, these primordial germ cells, they arrive in these genital ridges, the coelomic epithelium, it undergoes proliferation, and this proliferation causes the coelomic epithelium to penetrate the mesenchyme. As a result, finger-like cords or projections are formed, which are known as the primitive sex cords. So now you can see in this figure, this is the surface epithelium or the coelomic epithelium. Now the primordial germ cells, when they arrive at this genital ridge, it causes the surface epithelium to undergo proliferation. As a result of proliferation, these finger-like projections, they project into the lumen or into the mesenchyme of the genital ridge. These finger-like projections are known as the primitive sex cords. So now, in both male and female embryos, the primitive sex cords are connected to the surface ectoderm, because these are actually the proliferations of the surface ectoderm which penetrated into the mesenchyme. So both in male as well as the female embryo, these sex cords are actually connected to the surface ectoderm. At this stage, at this point in time, the sex of the fetus cannot be determined. So this was all about this section. In this section, we talked about the sources of the development of the adult reproductive system. We saw how the adult reproductive system was being formed. We saw how the genotypic sex of this zygote helps in the differentiation of the phenotypic differentiation of the adult fetus and the formation of adult sexual organs. And we finally saw what happens in the indifferent stage and how primitive sex cords are formed. I hope you understood it. For further sections, keep watching sqadia.com.